And CBS News Washington correspondent Paula Reid joins me now. Paula, strong words there from Speaker Paul Ryan and Bob Goodlatte. How is Paige's lawyer responding?
Well, her lawyer says that her client is still willing to testify. The lawyer says they received a subpoena on Saturday to testify today, yet they didn't get any sort of indication of what specifically the scope of this deposition would be or what documents her client would be asked to respond to. Her lawyer also says that yesterday they went to the FBI and they were there for 3 hours and still weren't allowed to review the documents that she could be asked about. So the lawyer then said, look, we're not going to do this tomorrow. I'm not going to put my client in that position. Now, her lawyer also says late last night around 11 p.m., the Justice Department reached out and it does look like there is some sort of agreement about getting access to these documents before she testifies. But right now her lawyer is saying she is willing to come in and talk to them this month.
All right. And Paula, Republicans are really set on these text messages and the intent behind them. Remind our viewers why there's been such a focus on these texts and what does the House committee want to get answers on?
I think a lot of Americans are curious about these texts because you have two people working on some of the most high-profile, politically charged investigations saying derogatory things about the subjects of those investigations. Now, Lisa Page is an former FBI lawyer who worked for a time on the special counsel investigation. And during her time at the FBI, she exchanged tens of thousands of text messages with Peter Strzok, who also works at the Justice Department and worked not only on the Hillary Clinton server investigation, but also on the Russia probe. And in these text messages, the two of them disparaged then candidate Trump, who was the subject of an ongoing open investigation. They called him an idiot. They talk about being in a Walmart where they could smell the Trump supporters. At one point, Page expresses concern that he could actually win the election, and Strzok tries to assure her that that will indeed not happen. But again, he had a leadership role in what was then the very new sort of the origins of the Russia investigation. So a lot of people look at this and they're like, wait a second, is this exactly what the president has always said, which is that there are people within the Justice Department working on this case or working on the Clinton case who were working against me, which is why I think a lot of people, and not just Republicans, want her and Strzok to come and answer some questions about what exactly was going on.
Indeed. And Paula, before I let you go, President Trump claimed that both Page and Strzok had, quote, cold feet ahead of their Capitol Hill appearances. Page will not testify this time around, but Strzok is scheduled to appear publicly tomorrow. What do we know about his hearing?
That's right. First, Page was going to do a deposition. Now, Strzok has already done a deposition that happens behind closed doors, and now Strzok is doing a public hearing tomorrow. And Tanya, I expect this will be an incredibly bruising hearing for him. Democrats and Republicans both have a lot of questions for Mr. Strzok. Republicans are going to hammer him on his derogatory statements about then candidate Trump. Now, I've read a lot of his text messages. He has nothing nice to say about anyone, but Republicans are not going to let up, specifically the president's allies who want to undermine the integrity of the Russia probe. Now, Democrats have questions for him, too, about why, when he was overseeing a large part of the Clinton email investigation, why, when he knew there were new emails in that case, why it took him so long to act on that. We all know that kind of pushed the final resolution of that case to the days leading up to the election. No one is going to be happy with Mr. Strzok, and I've asked his attorney why on earth he would want to do this kind of hearing, and I was told that he wants to tell his story. He's a lifelong public servant. He's one of the top counterintelligence investigators in this country, and he wants to go before Congress and publicly defend his character and defend himself. I've also talked with sources who worked with him on both of these cases, and they tell me, too, that they believe he was not in any way trying to help Clinton or hurt President Trump. That's probably not going to be enough to help him tomorrow.
A lot of people listening in. All right, Paula Reid in Washington, thank you.